What if the very thing that is keeping most people broke is the same thing the wealthy are using to get richer every single day? Debt. Most people hear that word and feel one thing: fear. And that makes sense, because for most people, debt means credit card bills, car payments, student loans, and a constant feeling of being behind. But here is what nobody tells you. The wealthy don't avoid debt. They weaponize it. And the difference between how the top 1% use debt versus how the average person uses debt is the difference between financial freedom and financial slavery. Today, we are breaking down exactly how that works and how you can start shifting from one side to the other. Now let's start with the most important distinction you will ever learn about money. There are two completely different types of debt, and most people only ever experience one of them. The first type is destructive debt. This is the debt most people know. Credit cards charging 20% interest. Car loans on vehicles that lose value the moment you drive them. Buy now, pay later schemes. Personal loans for holidays or weddings, things that are worth nothing within a year. Destructive debt does one thing: it transfers your future wealth to someone else. Every single month you carry a credit card balance, you are literally paying a bank to make them richer while you stay poor. The second type is productive debt. This is the debt the wealthy use, and it works in the complete opposite direction. Productive debt is borrowing money to acquire something that generates more money than the debt costs you. A property that earns rental income, a business loan that funds growth, leveraged investments that return more than the interest rate. When a wealthy person borrows $500,000 to buy a rental property that generates $3,000 a month in income, they are not going into debt. They are using the bank's money to build their own wealth. That is the weapon, and most people never even know it exists. Let me show you exactly how this works in the real world. Strategy number 1. Real estate leverage. This is the most common way wealthy people weaponize debt, and it is hiding in plain sight. Imagine you have $100,000 saved. You have two choices. Option A. You buy $100,000 worth of index funds. If the market returns 10% annually, you make $10,000 in year 1. Option B. You use that same $100,000 as a 20% down payment on a $500,000 rental property. The property also appreciates 10% annually. That is $50,000 in growth on an asset you only put $100,000 into. Same starting capital, 5 times the return. That is called leverage, and it is the engine behind most real estate fortunes you have ever heard of. The bank lent you $400,000, but the growth on the full $500,000 belongs to you. Strategy number 2. The buy, borrow, die method. This one will genuinely change how you see wealth. Ultra-wealthy individuals, we are talking billionaires and centimillionaires, have figured out something remarkable. In many countries, when you sell an asset, you pay capital gains tax. But when you borrow against an asset, you pay nothing. So instead of selling their stocks or properties to access cash, they borrow against them at low interest rates, sometimes as low as 1 to 2%, and use that borrowed money to fund their lifestyle. The assets keep growing. They pay minimal interest. They never trigger a tax event. This is how some of the world's wealthiest individuals can have almost zero taxable income in certain years, despite being worth hundreds of billions. They did not cheat the system. They understood it at a level most people never reach. Strategy number 3. Business debt as a growth engine. Every major business you have ever heard of used debt to grow. Amazon borrowed heavily for years before turning profitable. Apple has issued billions in corporate bonds, not because they needed the money, but because the interest rate on the debt was lower than what they could earn deploying that capital. Wealthy business owners understand that strategic debt accelerates growth. The question was never whether to use debt. It was always, which debt, at what cost, for what return. So that is how the wealthy use debt. But here is the part most people get completely backwards. Now here is where it gets uncomfortable. Most people's relationship with debt was shaped by one of two extremes. Either their parents told them, debt is evil, and you should never borrow anything. Or they grew up watching adults around them drown in consumer debt, with no understanding of why. Both experiences create the same result: a fear of debt that prevents them from ever using it productively, or a reckless relationship with debt that keeps them permanently broke. And the financial industry does not help. Credit card companies spend billions, making it easy and emotionally rewarding to go into destructive debt. Meanwhile, the tools and knowledge needed to access productive debt are hidden behind financial jargon, minimum income requirements, and systems that are never taught anywhere in school. Here is the brutal truth. The average American carries over $6,000 in credit card debt, at an average interest rate of over 20%. At that rate, if you only make minimum payments, it takes over 17 years to pay off, and costs you nearly 3 times the original amount in interest alone. That is not debt. That is a trap, designed to extract wealth from people who were never taught the difference. Meanwhile, the average interest rate on a property mortgage in most developed countries sits between 4 and 7%. The wealthy borrow at 4 to 7% to earn 10 to 15% returns. Everyone else borrows at 20% to buy things that are worth nothing within a year. That gap, right there, is the wealth gap. So how do you start thinking about debt the way wealthy people do? It starts with one simple question that changes everything. Does this debt make me money or cost me money? That is it. That is the filter. If the answer is it makes you money, the debt is potentially a tool. If the answer is it costs you money, the debt is a trap. Let me run through some examples. A mortgage on a rental property that generates positive cash flow, that is a tool. A credit card balance on a holiday you could not afford, that is a trap. A business loan to buy equipment that increases revenue, that is a tool. Car finance on a vehicle that loses 30% of its value in year 1, that is a trap. The wealthy do not ask, can I afford the monthly payment? They ask, what is the return on this borrowed capital? That single shift in thinking is worth more than any financial course you will ever buy. Now here is the second mindset shift. Your credit score is a weapon too. Most people think of their credit score as something that just exists, a number that goes up or down, depending on whether they pay their bills. Wealthy people see it completely differently. A high credit score is access to cheaper debt, and cheaper debt means better leverage, and better leverage means faster wealth building. Your credit score is your borrowing power, and borrowing power, used correctly, is wealth building power. Now let's make this real and actionable. You do not need to be a millionaire to start applying these principles. You just need to start shifting from destructive debt to productive debt, one decision at a time. Step 1. Audit your current debt. Write down every debt you have, the balance, the interest rate, and what you bought with it. Then ask the question, is this debt making me money or costing me money? This single exercise will show you exactly where your wealth is leaking. Step 2. Eliminate destructive debt aggressively. High-interest consumer debt is wealth poison. Before you think about investing or leveraging, the highest return move you can make is eliminating 20% interest debt. Paying off a credit card charging 20% interest is mathematically the same as getting a guaranteed 20% return. There is no investment on earth that matches that risk-free return. Step 3. Build your credit intentionally. If your credit score is not where it needs to be, fix it. Pay on time, every time. Reduce your utilization. Do not open unnecessary accounts. This is the infrastructure for future wealth. Step 4. Start learning about productive debt. Read about real estate investing. Understand how mortgages work. Learn about business financing. Start building the knowledge base that lets you eventually deploy debt as a weapon, rather than carry it as a burden. The wealthy did not start rich. They started educated. Now let's bring this all together. Debt is not the enemy. Ignorance about debt is the enemy. The wealthy use debt as a precision tool, borrowing strategically at low rates to acquire assets that generate higher returns. They use leverage to multiply their capital. They use credit as infrastructure, and they never, ever borrow to consume. The average person uses debt in the exact opposite way. High rates, depreciating purchases, monthly payments that drain wealth for years. The difference is not access, it is understanding. And now, you have it. Every week on The Wealth Effect, we decode exactly these kinds of strategies, the financial principles that actually build wealth, broken down in a way that anyone can understand and apply. If this video opened your eyes, subscribe, because next week we are going inside the concept that changed how every wealthy person thinks about time and money. Most people spend their entire lives trading hours for income. The wealthy figured out a completely different game, and we are breaking down exactly how it works. The code is here. All you have to do is keep watching.